Here's the lie we've been sold to as real estate investors that nobody wants to talk about it. So let's do it because I fell for that trap and I want to make sure that you guys are aware of when you're getting into real estate investing, what's in it. Before we jump in, I want to make sure that I address this. I still stand by the fact that real estate investing is one of the best tools out there to build wealth, 100%. I would not have been able to get to the place where I'm at without real estate investing, and I will do it all over again. The lie is though that you can live off your rental income 100% with just having a few rentals here and there. There's so many things that need to happen for you to get to that point. The cash flow is so inconsistent that you need to have good reserves, backup plan, a mix of investments that can help you get through the negative waves. That's something that people don't talk about. We all talk about, oh, I'm making this much in cash flow, blah, blah, blah. But what about when that cash flow is negative? Because it happens more often than not. And nobody talks about it because nobody likes to talk about their losses, right? So I want to come in and talk about this. As somebody that recently decided to go off and live off 100% of her income, living off rental income alone these days in this economy is nearly impossible. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but that's the truth. Deals these days are not that great. We're getting $150, $200 a door. Tenants are not that great. So we're getting a lot of turnover. All these hidden costs that nobody talks about that gets us to a point where cash flow is just not as reliable as it should be. Back in the day, all these investors who retire as real estate investors and all they did was real estate investing, they had amazing deals. They are in a place where they have properties that are fully paid off and they live off that income. But what about the investors that bought in this market where their deals cash flow $100 to $150? It's tough to live off that. You need so many units to get to that point. In 2025, my husband and I decided to move to Colombia. Up until that point, my husband still worked W-2 jobs, so we had consistent income. We said, let's go to Colombia because it's lower cost of living so that we can make sure that we can live off a rental income. I knew that there was a very slight chance that our cash flow would be consistent enough to be able to fund 100% of our lifestyle. And I was right. And the problem is that you can have good months and you're like, oh, this is amazing. But then CapEx comes in and it comes in waves, which is insane. And so you end up having to pay thousands of dollars at the same time and completely wiping you off that month or for a couple of months. And what do you do at that point? That is when having reserves and a good structure plan comes in. Can you retire off your rentals? Yes. But the way I see it is that real estate is the vehicle that lets you stop hustling. And then at that point, you can focus on doing things that you're more passionate about. As is the case for me, I am able to do them because I have invested in real estate. But the money didn't come from the rentals. It came from the appreciation that I cashed out. It came from the flips. It comes from the coaching, from partnerships, all the different things that I am doing. And a lot of investors out there, if you really pay attention, the ones that retired, they're doing some other type of business, right? They're doing coaching and they're selling products, they're doing flips, they're real estate agents, they lend money, all kinds of things. You can structure your portfolio in a way that it works that way too. For example, we have some properties that we sell or finance. We have private money loans. Those are income streams that are fixed because there is no associated capex or repairs or anything. The borrower has to pay me what they have to pay me. Now, of course, there's always a risk that they might default, but assuming they continue to pay, there's no other expenses associated with that. The goal with real estate, in our opinion, should be long-term wealth, building that generational wealth. That's where the money's at with real estate, not the cash flow. So if you're an investor who just started out and your goal is to retire your W-2 job and live off your rental income, I'm going to give you this warning. And it's like, be careful with quitting your job without really understanding your numbers, without understanding how much are you actually taking home for a couple of years before you take that leap. Because capex, turnovers, evictions, all these different things that happen, they're real and they can actually wipe you off. I have a friend who literally had a property fully trashed, had to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to get it back in the market. This is why having no understanding of your numbers, of your personal finances. There's so many ways that you can structure your lifestyle, your investments, and your other income streams so that you can live and design a life that you want without having all the hustle, without having all the properties, without fully relying on one income source. So my challenge for you today is really understand your numbers. Figure out how many rentals you would need to retire. And I have a calculator that I'm going to link up on the description. And then add a cushion to that and figure out what other things can you do aside from that rental to make income so that you can then retire. Because in my opinion, conventional rentals alone are not going to get you there in this economy. So make sure you follow me for more videos on this, on lines that have been told, and mistakes that I have made as a real estate investor so you can avoid doing those as well. Stay tuned and make sure you subscribe.